All right, let me make sure yep, we're good. We are recording, we're live, and we got 8 o'clock. So futures are kicking on. We'll start with the fat plan. Another good advantage of having a plan like this, it kind of keeps you focused. You're hearing a lot of talk about all the different thoughts on what the market's going to do Monday based off the Moody's downgrade, and you just keep it all in context, man. Just stay level with your thinking. But key events, earnings calendar for the week. I do think I say this every week just about, but it is advisable to go back and read through this slowly, just to get your mind, because I constantly say this every week. I feel like a broken record, but I think it's very important. You sort of create ideas over the week and you forget some things and you come back around. And I mean, the bottom line is Magnificent Seven have posted double-digit gains since May. I mean, they're flying right now, man. They're strong as all get out. Meta right now is in a good setup. So there's some good setups out there. If the market opens, somewhere close to even, I'm gonna be really looking hard at Meta. We did have some positive response to some of the inflation data. I mean, we have some key drivers that are coming up, the 90-day tariff truce, and then if you looked over the weekend, China released something about plastics and tariffs still going to count or added them on. So I mean, little things are going on in that sort of battle. None of the other ones matter to me too much. It does seem to be that the China U.S. Trade agreements are the key ones. Obviously, the European ones can bring a little bit into play, but the technical levels for the S&P, and I think it's important. So this is a good example. People almost like they've already forgotten that we broke above that 200-day and held it. And so that becomes your line in the sand. Just look for your 200-day, see how the market reacts. Economic calendar, just because it's relatively light, doesn't mean that some of these data releases could have high impact. Okay, so like new home sales could be a big one. Just keep your eyes on it. You see when Wall Street Engine puts it out, every morning. He puts out a list of what's going to happen today. So just I keep those alerts on so that I can see them every morning and refresh myself while I'm laying there in bed, just thinking about watching stocks trade early in the morning hours. Um, Trade developments we already talked about. And I mean, the bottom line is this is a bullish environment until something changes. And it could by the time we're finished talking tonight. I mean, the futures could tank, but we don't know that. So we have to be ready. We have to have a plan. You can see the year-to-date change in the major indexes. Weekly change was very strong across the board. Um, I think this summarizes everything up the best right there. I think that pretty much says where we are in the market right now. I really like this. With China trade on 90-day pause, the important trade milestone for the U.S. is whether they can come to terms with the European Union. From a technical perspective, we are a bit stretched to the upside, but that has been the case for the past couple of weeks. It can be risky to go against the recent bullish trend. I think the odds are that we finally get some healthy consolidation next week. And that's Trader's Outlook from Charles Schwab. And I thought that pretty much summarized a lot of what you're seeing on FinTwit and everywhere else. I think everybody's pretty much got the idea. We know there's going to be volatility around the Trump tweets. We know that Trump and Walmart got into it, but we saw that Besson actually had conversations with Walmart. We'll see how that plays out. If you look at earnings this week, there are a few like Target, TGT, and there are some others in there, Urban, some retailers, but Target is a big one. I think BJ has earnings. Yeah, BJ's got earnings too. So these retail guys, I'd be a little concerned after Walmart got into a little thraka with President Trump, being one of those guys on the call. So we'll see how those play out. We also have Home Depot and Lowe's at the same time this week. Snowflake, that's a big growth stock, one that a lot of people are watching, see how it does on its earnings. And then you could see everybody flipping from gold back to Bitcoin. I'm currently long gold. I think you're a fool not to be nervous when you're trading things and say you're not nervous. I'm nervous. I got 40% of my account long on gold overnight here. Let's see how it's doing. So we bought in somewhere down there. I guess it was somewhere in here. I got long GDX. I can't remember my average price. I think I put it in here. Notable stocks. Lore, really like the way that one's looking. Let's look at that one right now, just to give you an example. There are some good setups out there. So Lore is a space theme play, and I really like the way it looks. So it had earnings, and I don't normally like it when they do this, but it had negative earnings. We'll take that off of there, clean that up a little bit. So Lower had negative response to earnings, but came in, and this is not Friday, and I think this is important. It's not an OPEX day. Had the highest volume within a year on an up close, and then came right back. And now this was OPEX, but still, nice day right there, nice close. So we don't truly know the volume situation, but we know it's big. And we have a prior trend line right there, and I find these work just as basic as a horizontal trend line does. And you can see where it's been acting as support and resistance right here. So a break through this trend line, and then also, of course, we have the handle pivot right here, this key level at 90.79. So I like the way Lore's looking right here. I like the way institutions seem to be coming in after they digested the news on earnings, and they're coming in off this 30-week moving average, picking it back up. So that's an interesting to watch. XPEV, like the way XPEV is looking as well. XPEV, nice area of consolidation. We have a VWAP squeeze right there. We've got the higher high. This is not the all-time high, but it's a recent higher high. If you go way back, it's been higher than that back in the days before it tanked. And then we have the higher low, and this is a very nice pinch. And traditional way to play these pinches, I like how it's sitting above this earnings VWAP as well, heading into earnings, is on the break of the higher high VWAP. So you play at either side of the VWAPs, whichever side it breaks on volume. But in this case, I like when we have these upside reversals 2 days in a row like that. Those are low indicators for me. I like that it's held its gap up right here. And we obviously have a theme, and EV is being pushed by China, that they've got more production than ever, more use than ever, all that stuff. And frankly, China lies every other day. So I'm not worried. The earnings is almost, they're going to go up on their earnings. Now, what the market thinks, how high up, I think is going to be the issue with the market and how institutions respond to it. But this is an opportunity here where I could see this one moving pretty strongly before earnings, again, depending on how the market performs in the morning from a macro standpoint. We've got to keep it all in perspective. Two, that's not it. And then next we have MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy is sitting right off the 10. Now, I know Bitcoin is doing so good it may be unplayable tomorrow, but MicroStrategy is sitting right there with a nice pullback, nice symmetrical pullback, nice little upside reversal right there through that high of the day on intraday volume would be very nice as well. Another one we have is AMTM. Looks really good. It showed up on the scans too as well, so it's ready to go, just like MSTR. All of these showed up on the scans tonight as well, so they're notable stocks, and they're also looking good. Got a nice hammer bar on AMTM, aerospace, play, and defense, through the high of the day on intraday volume. Very strong pushback. Look at the volume coming in. Again, we did have OPEX day, but this is the IPO or the higher high. Oh, it's the IPO VWAP. So the IPO VWAP, we would push through it. Very nice. So I put them in pink so I know they're IPO. So the IPO VWAP, it would push through that IPO VWAP on volume, ideally above that 2219 prior level. Here we go. Prior level right there. So we want to get through this 2219 area, but a good starter would be here through that high of the day on intraday volume. ERJ and Meta. So ERJ. So the planes, a little aerospace too in there. They've been doing really good. And this is just a beautiful upside reversal off the 10 EMA, off a gap up, off of earnings. So nice earnings response, not overwhelming. We don't have overwhelming volume, but not everything's going to go up. Not everything's going to have beautiful volume. What I'll say is, relatively speaking, this was bad. And now when we look to the right, it's a healthy right. I wouldn't even call it healthy, but it's a right side that's not torn up. And we want to see volume come in here, break, and we want to see the increase in volume, start seeing the green. So we'll go red to green. And this is unusual. This is a volume dry up period. When you look back at it, probably when you look on the weekly, say we have we got 3 weeks in a row that volume dry up. And even here, it's still volumes drying up. So let's see what happens to price here. But I like this one through the high of the day. It's a traditional upside reversal with a nice risk reward. So less than a 3% risk. So if you play a traditional upside reversal with a stop just underneath the low of the day, the risk area is beautiful. We have a 10 EMA right here on this 1020 cloud, and we have the earnings VWAP. So this is a nice area to manage risk. You can either buy it on a pullback here intraday, volume dries up, and then volume comes back in and price rises intraday, or you can buy it through the high of the day right here from Friday on intraday volume through that high of the day. So this is a really nice setup. And yeah, I guess you could short it down around 46 if you wanted to, if the market's going down, but I'm not interested in doing that. I'm looking to play it through that high of the day, and then bust through that $50 level, which will act as resistance. Last one we had was Meta, which we talked about earlier, but let's look at it. Meta is a very nice hammer right off the 10. Earnings break loose off of earnings right here. And held the gap up, came down. So this little gap area right here is acting as support. So you can buy it down here off support off 627, or again, you could buy it through that high of the day. And not often on stocks are you going to find a nice setup with low risk. So 3.5%, 3% risk, 3% risk on Meta with a hammer candle on increasing volume. Love it, right? That sets up for us. That could be a really good play for us. So Meta, which also again showed up on scans tonight. Got the other information right there for you on them. These are not in setups right now, but these are the ones that look the best on the highest volume. We're talking 99 relative strength ratings, all with A plus accumulation as well. Getting some more information for you in there. Data Deep View theme tracker. Really starting to get into this Deep View theme tracker. Their app is going to come out, I want to say Monday, where I can start seeing it on my phone, which would be very handy for me. And let me get back on the chat. I changed my screen, my other screen. It would be very handy for me. And you can see the dominance. So key takeaways, let's look at that first. Clear rotation from commodity-driven themes, miners and oilers, to technology and innovation, blockchain, semiconductors, and solars over the past month. So the blockchain, semiconductors, and solars have been the strongest themes over the past month, suggesting renewed appetite. We kind of know that, right? Those 5 weeks straight up, it's all been going into there, and we've seen a clear change on the theme tracker. Now, we will note that healthcare had a decent day, genomics and biotechnology, so kind of all grouped together up there at the top. So that would be something to keep an eye on. Are we going to start seeing healthcare coming back to life a little bit? Utilities, they moved up. So, the staples, we started seeing some movement there on Friday. But as far as the theme tracker goes overall, we're looking for pullbacks in the blockchain, solar, and semiconductors. When these three are moving, you're going to make a lot more money playing the pullbacks in these guys than you are trying to long staples, in my opinion. So performance for the week, obvious right here, right? The big boys. And that's what you love to see. And that's where you see, like on FinTwit, when people start gaining confidence and saying, hey, we're in a bull market, we're rocking and rolling. It's when you see these guys leading. Now, that's fine if you're already in them. But if you say, well, Monday, let's say we do pull back. Oh, Fat, you said these guys were rolling. They were. I mean, you're up 16% in Nvidia over 5 days. You're going to take some profits. 6% in Apple. That's a hell of a move for Apple. Amazon up 6%. Google up 8%. I mean, these guys, they pull back. People are going to take some profits. They're not going to sell the whole thing, but they're going to take some profits. And that's understandable, when you entered and had such a nice run. Market breadth, super strong, looking great. Looking great. IWM still got to bust through some current levels. Really, when you look right here, we're kind of testing. It's not as strong. The S&P advance and declining line has been the one that's led us on this rally. That's been the strongest one, so that's the one to watch to fail. And got some divergences there for you. Psych charts of note. So when we do turn red on this one, the market will pull back. I'm highly confident of that. Not trying to call the top or anything, but I will tell you just from my observations and experience and watching this chart and working with it in my indicator for a while, you can see recently it worked very well. I mean, it doesn't always work though, but when it does turn red one day, that's when we'll know the music may be about to stop, and I'll be very cautious at that point. The VIX, everything looking copacetic here. I think that's the right word for it. Just doing what we want it to do. And one good thing about these smooth downtrends, when we do break a higher high, so when we do break this little spot, lower high, or this spot right here, we know it's on, right? We know to be cautious when those things start moving up after this. And that would be unexpected, right? I mean, be expected. Come down off a long run like this, we're going to see some moves back up. We know things can't go down forever. But right now, looking very good, copacetic. McClellan oscillator, clearly we're getting this movement right here, which will one day lead to it. But I'm constantly reminded of that meme with the guy sitting at the end of the trophy stairs, and he's like, I was right. I won. I mean, you can't be Chicken Little every day, right? So, but right now, what we know is twice we've come above 60, and when we cross below it, a traditional spot where you can more times than not catch a short or just simply move your stops up. You don't have to always be like right or wrong, trying to kill something, trying to win something. You can just move your stops up. And in this case, twice now, it hasn't really shown out. So I'm thinking third time's a charm. So if we rally tomorrow and push back through 60, I would say that third time we come down through 60, I would be very cautious. NASDAQ 100 bullish percent index is overbought as well. I would say it's a pretty fair indicator, pretty reliable time that you're going to see a little bit of a pullback. And right now we're not there yet. So still could be more juice in the tank for the NASDAQ 100. And then S&P 500, same thing, right? We are not there yet. We have not crossed below 70 and closed below it. And until we do, when we do, I'll let you know. If I can catch it that day, I'll put it on there for you. SPY looking very bullish. I mean, bottom line, it's passed all these tests so far. And yeah, we're into resistance, no doubt about that. But volume continues to pour in. You can see it right there. You can go through and read your support levels, got those posted for you. Key takeaways, I mean, this is a strong rebound and the positive chalk and money flow suggests bullish momentum is currently in play. That's the most important item on there in the bullets. SPY chart with deep view market trend analysis. Very excited about this. Sam Weinstein, stage 3. You can see it down here for you. So stage 2, we moved into stage 2. So that was pretty exciting. I said 3, I meant 2. Pretty exciting to see. We've now changed into stage 2. And the market trend as well for deep view is green, which meaning we're above all the key moving averages, 10, 20, and 50, or if you want to call it 9 and 21, whatnot. Either way, we're up above them, and they're all turned up. And the Sam Weinstein indicator has gone stage 2. And you can see where, like, for example, right here, this is stage 2, and you can see what happens there. This is stage 2, and you can see what happens there. So remember, if you're in leading stocks, you're actually outpacing the S&P right here. It's not going down, but you're outpacing it. Your relative strength line would be going straight up. And so those are this right here is a healthy market. This right here is a healthy market. And this right here is a healthy market entry for the market. And here we are again. Let me grab a sip of wine. And you look at the relative rotation graph. Relative rotation graph. So what we're seeing here is the former left hook that I talked about for weeks when it started coming from here. It did play out, and then now we're seeing some rollover by XL. XLU is the strongest. I mean, you can see, so relative strength for anybody that is new to this. So the relative strength, the further it goes to the right, the stronger the relative strength. So the relative strength for XLU is very strong. The price, excuse me, the price momentum is somewhat weak at this time. It's not going up. We want to see it going towards this 45-degree angle, just like XLK is doing. That's a wonderful situation to be in. Now, the question with XLK is we are at the 100 level, which is very similar. Think of it like a 50 EMA on a price chart. So this is like the 50 EMA on a price chart. Now, two things to watch for here. If XLK pushes into improving and rockets straight for that 45-degree angle like it's heading right now, that is wonderful. What I would look for is to pick up XLY stocks. So your Amazon, for example, if it's in a setup, because XLY is going to generally get drugged with it. XLY is coming off a very long come down off of it. Actually led the last bull cycle, right? So the last cycle, or market cycle, I should say, not necessarily bull cycle, everybody bull and bear, just the last market cycle, it led by far. And it has been coming down all the way through this area, and it is now, for the first time in a long time, turned up, and it will follow XLK. Now, if XLK fails to push through this 50, and tomorrow's kind of judgment day on that, really the week, it takes a week to get all these nodes, XLY will follow what XLK does, I believe. So you can kind of use that as a laggard play on XLY after what XLK does. All right, before we look at the S&P 500 sectors, let's look at the offensive versus defensive chart. And you can clearly see here that we, these prior lines we had drawn and everything, they've played out very well. These horizontal lines, and before that, the descending trend lines. And we're doing really well. Now, again, a pullback, where would an expected spot be? Would be right there, right in this area. And I don't worry so much about the numbers. I just watch the charts to kind of help me gauge how aggressive I want to be. This would be, if we do see a pullback, when we hold this support or key level, this would be where I would look to get long again. We can use that very well to decide. Growth value and the census, let's just start with growth sectors. So we'll go into growth sectors. And I mean, right now, XLK, beautiful. But again, similar to what we talked about. So we've got a couple of things here. We looked earlier and we said we do have resistance with XLK. We looked earlier and we said on the RRG chart, we do have the 50 EMA or the 100 level, if you will, from the relative rotation graph chart. Remember that? So that's what you're seeing sort of transferred into that relative rotation graph is this right here. And so can it get through that resistance? I don't know. We'll have to see. XLC looking a little weak, right? So we've got this descending trend line. If we break below it, then we have this second key level right here. We break below that. You know, XLC, which has led us into this market cycle, you know, throughout the downturn, you can see right here for XLK, XLC held up very well. So will this be a bounce off this trend line? We'll have to wait and see. That's why I like Meta. See, this is Meta right here, XLC. And of course, you could look for Netflix as well for an opportunity, which it had its opportunity Friday. Friday, it pushed off of a upside reversal, I believe. We'll check it. Consumer discretionary, Amazon. So here we go right here, Tesla. Let's see if they can put, and you notice right here, we're squeezing. We're putting in higher lows, lower highs. We're getting that Mark Minervini type VCP look. And we've got this trend line right here. And I know it's only a two tapper. You could argue that's the third one, but this is a good trend line. And then of course, this key level right here, where we get into resistance, we'll see what happens, but it's looking good right here. Now, if we get rejected right here, that's when we'll know, okay, got a potential probable market pullback. The value sectors, XLI, space theme in there, in that bunch, clearly breaking out at this point. Wish I'd have got a lot heavier earlier because it was obvious it was coming, and it's really looking good. Looks like we may have a little bit of a glass, gosh, I forgot what you call it, descending wedge right here forming. So, I mean, some might call it holy, was it holy grail or whatever? I don't remember, but just a descending wedge forming right here. It's tough to tell on the financials. So I had this trend line run here and I took it off because it's clearly failed it. To then try to call it a descending wedge, I think might be unfair. It's definitely not been performing well. But when you look at KRE, the regional banking chart, man, it looks like it's ready to go. Materials, same thing, just failing, underperforming, no doubt about it. Energy underperforming, XLE, I should say, underperforming. Value sectors, XLU, just kind of floundering around a little bit. You saw that on their relative rotation graph. It's just moving sideways currently. And then staples, I don't know what to make. Is it an undercut and rally? I mean, with Walmart arguing with Donald Trump, I don't know about that. You know, is this an undercut and rally or not? We'll have to wait for a little more information on that. And that's been the story on the defensives. Real estate just looking weak overall. Not interested really getting there. Root could have easily got long Friday, but you could also open up Monday down on that position. Thoughts this week, put my money where my mouth is. I'm up plus 25% on the year, and that's after being up plus 30%. Then I screwed up at the end of the week. I was in Walmart and cost and everything, and somebody always knows, as they say, and it was coming and Trump and all those arguments. I am long currently on gold after hours, probably around 6:30, 7 o'clock. I don't remember when. And I just didn't feel that it was fair to put that on an alert at that time. I am long gold. I'm long gold with 40% of my account. So let's see how gold is doing right now. So I'm long GDX. Let's check on gold. Oh yeah. Keep working for them, baby. So this blue line right here is just a little flat area right here. It kind of reminds me of relative measured volatility, right? So just nice flat area. Now price isn't real tight. Price is opens and closes are not tight is my point. We'll see. I got an alert set. I want to see it break this area right here around 3250, around 3250, and then push up and test this area right here. Just start putting in higher lows and going up. We'll see how that plays out. All right, let's go ahead and look at our relative rotation graph, and then we'll get into setups. Ooh, coin up 2.5%. Interesting, Tyro said. All right, let's go down here to, nope, I'm going the wrong way, aren't I? There we go. No. I need to go right here. We set up our folder. All right, so if you haven't been with us before, we set up a folder and we got the ARC group. They're all together on here, but then we have what is it? The bios and healthcare is also on there, but all of the ARCs are on here. I keep them as their own little family. And then we'll go through technology and internet, artificial intelligence, robotics and automation, energy and commodities, financials, industrials and real estate, consumer discretionary, utilities, staples, and communication and solar. So you kind of see how we have it grouped. This last one's grouped this way. Solar is kind of its own category, and it's not, to me, I don't like it listed with the energy plays. I think it's more, for me, it's more of a growth play. Communications, I like that with the defensives because we can kind of see, retail sales versus the defensives, and the same way we have on our stock charts, one where we compare XLY versus XLP. All right, so here we go. Let's flip through them and let's see. So what we're looking for is one to be like MSOS pointed at the money angle, and increasing in velocity, which it's not really doing right there. Oh, well, let me go through my charts. Here we go. All right, so PPH, no, ARC X. So ARC X, space exploration, is looking good there. We're seeing an increase in velocity. So this is a classic dip buy. What we're seeing here is it came from the leading area, okay, and then now has come down in, and usually 102. If it gets past 102, they won't make it back up to the leading. But in this case, I will say ARC X. And so we have to remember we had a lot of earnings the last several weeks. So a lot of space themes that had earnings. So I would suspect if you dig down into ARC X, you would have probably several with positive earnings. And so they're heading in the right direction. So you would make an exception. So it's not, that's why you can't have hard and fast rules. Earnings are changing the acceleration or the velocity. And really, if you look at it, it was turning up earlier. So that's a good sign too. But a lot of space themes had earnings earlier than other stocks. So looking good here. Nice increase. So I'm going to write down space. Let me get my notepad ready. Once again, for several weeks now, the space theme is one of the first that we see looking good. That also means if space theme starts rolling over, you know what that means. RK wasn't bad there, was it? Nice turn. So we got a nice turn right here. Let me get my chart set back up here. So there we go. So nice turn right here by RK. Arc Innovation. Got to write that one down too. RK. So in the past, we have not been able to write very many down. And so that's kind of exciting that out the gate, we've got two that are looking good. ARC W looking good. So ARC W looking good. ARC F. Oh, FinTech Innovate. Okay. All right. So FinTech. So we'll have to check SoFi, kind of see how that's looking. But ARC F. Yeah, that leads me back into my CRE play. ARC Q looking good. So robotics coming back around. So this is our first time in several weeks that we've been able to say that we're finally starting to see some positive movement. Now, I will note that all of those were in lagging quadrants. So those tend to fail before they push forward into the, which again adds credence to what? To the, let's look at the best one, probably the space one. And this one, let's check all these guys. Okay, so ARC G, we'll take that off, and BBH. So all these guys right here were coming from the leading and then the weakening. Once they have crossed over into the lagging quadrant, they tend to fail before they're successful, just like many other stocks. Before they break out, they'll test a couple of times. So what we will see probably is a failure at some point, and these guys swing down in here, and then we'll see the breakthrough. Could be wrong. XLK will be the one. That's the one to test because it's the first one to the improving. So we'll see how XLK, that'll be very interesting to see how XLK leads the rest of this market. These guys will, of course, follow. Same thing. It'll be fun to watch that play out. All right, let's go to our tech plays. So cyber, not really doing that well. High drive pulling away. Hack, not looking as good as I would have thought, right? Okay, SMH, gonna make that move. So XLK, of course, but let's SMH. Let's see if it makes that move into improving. That'll tell us a lot about this by the end of this week. I mean, which probably a little bit of an obvious statement, but what's wrong with that? That's good that it's obvious. We'll find out this week. FDN. Okay. Internet Index Fund. So FDN, first time we've been able to write that down in a long time. I buy. Okay. So we've gone from very few to where now we are writing them down, ONLN. And when those pullbacks occur, these are the areas that we're looking for. IGV, so retail, and IGV is expanded software. ONLN is online retail. So looking good there too, and IGV still looking firm. And again, IGV is another one. We'll be able to tell if this one crosses over into improving. That will be a huge sign for us as we go through here. Energy and commodities, make a little check here on GDX. So potential dip buys here, but right now they're not turned up. XOP is trying to, but it's weak. All right, and financials. So this is curious to me because I'm really looking at KRE. So XAR space, of course, real estate. That one got left off. Need to move that one. IYR, real estate. See, real estate kind of, that's a classic rollover. See how the relative strength is turning away? It's weakening. So relative strength, so it's in the leading, but the relative strength is weakening. That leads me more to it's over. It's not a bounce play, not a dip buy. XLI looking good. XLB, XLF, CRE. So there's CRE. See how it's accelerating and turned up, slightly turned towards that money angle, but not quite there yet. I'm really curious about that one. Did it fail? Should have failed. Yeah. Right there. One. It's only failed once. Be PAVE. Ooh, looking good, PAVE. So we got to keep our eyes on PAVE again. That one's been a leader. That one is improving, and that one came out early on us. Right, and then consumer discretionary. So let's check these guys. XLP, IBIT, looking good. Look at IBIT trying to come in there and push through. Now, most of the time, these guys won't stop at the 50. These are dip buys, and they'll push right through that 100 level. So IBIT looking strong. Down. Boy, it's good to see people heading towards the money angle. IBLC, Bitcoin again, blockchain. IBLC. Jets trying to make that curve. I like it when they make that smooth swoop. They're swooping back up. So Jets writing that one down. Leads into ERJ is a good play. XLY. We're going to see what XLK does. TAN, kind of moving sideways right there, but still, it was a nice move last week. A little pullback at the end. XRT. So XRT and TAN, writing those down too. So we now have a lot of sectors moving. A lot of ETFs, so that's really good. All right, let's go ahead and get to our setups. Let me check gold one more time before we get started here. Just see how it's looking. There we go. Push through that line. How's the futures looking? No. How about that? And then Bitcoin. Little pullback there, just into the cloud. That's not unusual. Silver, copper, else copper, always China related. 5 days turning down. Gold. All right, let's go ahead and go to our setups then. So first one will be the deep view leaders. Really excited the way we're rolling through these now. So I go through them and I check them beforehand and I pull the ones that are in setups. Thinking of doing like a separate video just on setups. So here we go. So 519, let's go deep view leaders. Let me grab me a sip of wine. Really like an XPV EV right here. So all of these are in setups. I may delete one or two as we go, just because when I look at them for the first round, every time you kind of get your eyes on something again, you start making decisions. But I love the way it's getting pushed up right here. You can see, you barely see about 1020 cloud right in here. See that 1020 cloud. We got the earnings VWAP or above, slightly turned up. See how little things matter, like it's slightly turned up. You've got a $20 level right here, manage risk. Now, it's a pretty liquid mover. So, I mean, but still 3.5%, 4% risk. I mean, I like it. Now you can wait for a pullback, if we see futures not looking great, so you can flip it. And now $20 is a nice key level for XPEV. And then Trump makes an announcement about, China trade war is over or something, and you rip to the moon. Now, I mean, not saying to do that, but it's there. And there's a long time between now and the morning. We know that futures are not an indicator of how we're going to trade. For all we know, Jansen Wang says something and the futures start trading up and then gold starts dropping. You don't know. It's a long time between the market open and now. SNEX, so the banks, the finance, I'm going to show you CRE right now so you understand why I keep kind of pushing back to them. So regional banks, I mean, look at this thing right now. It's tight. It's off a prior key level right here. And if you go to the weekly, that's why it sets it up like that. But it's got the instructional support right here, institutional support right here. I mean, you can see this level is obviously right here I mean, that is a key level if there ever was one. It's obvious. And you don't hear everybody talking about regional banks right now. There's not a big FinTwit discussion about it this weekend. And I think it's a beautiful setup. I think it's like Ted Zane called it, a fat pitch. A little bit of a trend line here from a prior wedging that broke, so wedge break. And so you got a little bit of a gap here too, which is always nice, because if you get in it and you break through, then you get that shoot up that gap and you just feel good about yourself and you kind of let it play around right here. So I'm gonna leave that right there because that's a little bit of a key level too. But that break of that upside reversal right there on intraday volume, I believe, would be a starter for getting long right there. Now, if we break this 200, see that's the 200-day moving average. If we break that on intraday volume, then I might look to get short. But we could just bounce right off there off that 10. I mean, the 50-day is turned up. It looks great long. Look at the volume dry up, relative strength line holding up. I mean, could be wrong, and that's fine. You can short it. You got room right there, 3% short. Can do that as well. But I just really like the way that CRE is looking. So SNEX, upside reversal, just a nice clean upside reversal through the 10 EMA, through the high of the day on intraday volume. All these plays, you just need intraday volume, like 5, 10, 15-minute time frame. You want to see it above average and price moving up, and you buy it as it goes through that high. I always wait for the close. Personally, I use 12-minute time frame, and I wait for the candle to close. I find that keeps me from buying and fading, and I just buy it. I mean, it's volume through the pivot, basically, on intraday volume. AU, so gold play, if gold pulls back a little bit tonight and starts improving during the day, got an opportunity there. Pretty much the gold plays will be unplayable if gold maintains where it is right now. SBS I like, but you know what? It's up against that 20% profit zone, so I'm going to take it off. But, it's a utility play, forward related. Let's see here. MSTR, I like. If Bitcoin pulls back, which may, MSTR is a nice upside reversal right here, or some might just call a little even candle, but I like it because it's going to be through that earnings VWAP on the intraday. Same thing through the high of the day on intraday volume right there. Like it looks good. AMTM, it's nice and tight off that 10. AMTM, nice basing off the explosion. So basing, explosion, basing. And now we have a nice hammer. A little too far for my money, right? I'm not going to put a 6% stop loss, but what we have is the earnings VWAP and the 10 EMA. Now I will put it there, about 3% risk. So through the high of the day on intraday volume, yeah, there's resistance up here, but that's looking good down here. I mean, this is very healthy. Looks like the relative strength line is going to push positive. I'll play that through the high of the day. T10, a little bit extended, or not extended. I would say that it's too close to the 20% profit zone. Probably need to take that one off. But boy, that's a hell of a lot of good looking volume. I could see that one busted through 20%. So I'm going to leave it on there. If we get a little pullback, you can use that 28.57 as if it holds it right there on that line. You can use that as a nice tight stop to manage risk. So if we see a pullback in the morning and this one holds up, institutions don't want to let it go. Look at all that beautiful volume, and they want to hold it right here. I'll buy that as it goes back up on increasing volume. HMY, and I'll use that line I just drew as an area to manage my risk. So my stop loss will be like 0.5% or something, and with an incredible reward. HMY gold play, probably going to be unplayable. KGC gold play, probably going to be unplayable. All of them can be played through the high of the day, though, if we see a pullback in gold overnight. Lore, really, really, really like this one. I know I showed it to you earlier, but Love this one through the high of the day. If not, if we get a little pullback here, 30-week, maybe a pullback to the 200-day, but I love the way institutions came back in and took advantage of it right there. Ego, again, gold play. So we'll move on. Next will be deep view liquid leaders, and then now it's gonna go a lot faster. We got a lot of repeats tonight. Oh, Bitcoin going back up or down, I'm not sure. Let's see here. So AU gold play, MSTR, we already talked about. Lore, we already talked about. Dollar Tree. So if we do see a continued push like we saw on Friday into the defensives, then Dollar Tree could be one you could look at right here. Again, if the market would pull back, this would be a nice look at. It's riding that 10-20 cloud, just riding that 10 EMA. Easy buy right off the 10. You just wait for the volume to decrease, price holds, and then volume increases and price rises. You buy it intraday. This could be a good one for a pullback. It's been just really strong. Kind of in no man's land for me, but I'm going to keep it on there. TCK, no, not playing that kind of stuff. And then CEP. Haven't played this one before, but it is wedging. This thing can really rock it and move. That's a 28% move. So you got to watch your sizing. In earnings, it did not sell off. And did it have earnings? I have to read more on that. So a little bit of a weird, I got to read more on this one. Sometimes you get those crazy ones in there. You know what? When you got to say that, you delete it. That's what I'm going to do. So now we'll go to the, is it weekly? Oh, it'd be Webby. So now it would be Webby, Mike Webster's swing trading. 519, there we go. And then weekly strength. XPEV again. And you do, yeah, it matters. When you start seeing them on multiple scans, that means it's showing up on the radar, right? And that's a good thing. So we've already seen that one. AU, we've already talked about the gold play. SBS, we already deleted, right? Yep. So we'll delete off there. SOUN. So again, if we see a little market pullback here and it holds that earnings VWAP, you know, if it's a dip buy tomorrow, if that's what you believe, then SOUN is one I want to be in on a dip buy. I'll watch my sizing because this thing, you know, is very volatile. But opportunity right here, if it pulls back to that earnings VWAP and holds it, especially if that 5-day is turned up like it is. So if it wants to pull back and that 5-day holds up, now if that 5-day rolls over and starts turning red, then I'm not going to touch it. But if it pulls back to this earnings VWAP, look at first touch of the earnings VWAP. Never fails. So there's your earnings break upside. There's your earnings VWAP. Look at it come down in. Skip, skip, skip. Now my worry is that intraday I'm seeing skip, skip, skip a little lower, right? And 5 days starting to flatten. So I'm a little worried about that. So I want to probably wait, let it roll over on that 5-day, come in here for the first touch of the 10-day. And that might be that 2 to 3 pullback, 2 to 3 day pullback people are looking for. And SOUN comes into that 10-day moving average, and look at your 50-day right here. And you get a nice power 3, get a little 50-day right there, 10-20 cloud. That could be a beautiful thing for SOUN. So we got to have a little patience on SOUN. Meta, we already talked about Meta. I love it. Looks really good. That'll be the I would say of the Mag 7s, it's the best positioned for a pullback buy right now. EGO, gold play, we already talked about. ODD had some news. Can't remember exactly with the CEO and all that and selling and leaving or something. So it had a nice rally here. However, it put in a heavy volume candle right here on Friday, and that typically is an area, a pivot area. And so I would look for price almost like a short, right? Price to go below it. So I had this huge drop, and then buyers came in, but this right here is a reversal. It's basically a reverse hammer, and you can see it as a pivot. See it as pivot. Price tends to react off those heavy volume candles pretty good. Here's one right there. It looks exactly like that one, right? So interesting spot. Here's another one right there. See it right there. So this looks like a classic heavy volume pivot candle. And so, especially if the market's weak tomorrow, that could be a heck of a short. Could also get your face melted off with ODD. So you want to make sure you consider your sizing again. So ODD, like that one short. Matter of fact, got to write that down. Now it can also, that pivot, it can easily go through the high, and that's the pivot level as well. So you want to see a close below that candle. All right, let's go to, that was Webby. So now weekly strength. Go to weekly strength. Let's check these are all set up. So I've gone through them. So there may have been 25, 30 of these. And I went through them and I'm pulling only the ones that are in setups. So you don't have to sit there and watch me go through all the whys on that. And every now and then we'll bring that back just to show everybody how we go about making those decisions. CCEP, I left it on there because it's a European play. And through the high of the day, technically, and I was thinking to get the defensives, but this needs a better setup than that. So I'm going to take that one off. AU gold play, we already talked about. SBS, we already talked about taking that one off. Well, it's showing on multiple scans. And then BSAC, isn't that banking? Yeah, here's another regional bank. And it's set up in a nice coil. A little bit off the 10. I like them a little tighter than that. I like how it's holding that 25. I'm going to take it off. When they're not on that 10, I find they don't work out too well. All right, so that was weekly strength. And then now we'll go to Ted Zhang. Ted Zhang, high momentum. Where's Ted? It's Connor. Okay. Connor, debut, Jeff. Type in Ted. Maybe I put the wrong date. Uh-oh. Check 5. Nope. All right, let me see my paper here. Ted Zhang, so CLBR. Oh, nice hammer. Finance play, nice hammer. So through the high of the day, right there. Look at that volume, prior volume. So through the high of the day, intraday volume, looks good. CLBR. And then, you know what? I got to make that list right now so I don't lose it. 519/25. Ted Zhang. High momentum. Go. And we got CLBR, SOUN, BKKT, SKBL, FBL, PWP, and DPST, which is regional banks again. So Ted's thinking the same way I am there on his scan. All right, so CLBR looks great through that high of the day. And then SOUN, we already talked about it. It's potential short. I said you can get your face melted off on it, but through the high of the day, could short it underneath the earnings VWAP. You know what? I'm gonna write that one down with ODD. I like SUN just waiting. You know what? I'm not going to start thinking short. Remember my Phat-plan. I got to stay bullish. Let's see here. EKKT. I pulled that one. It's a little bit high. We'll take that one off. SKBL. Coming off that 50. I like it because it's putting in the higher lows. See how it keeps getting pushed up. So right now, most things under the 1020 cloud you wouldn't be interested in. But this thing just keeps getting pushed back up off that 50 EMA. I mean, they're coming in. I mean, it's a big mover off that 50, and it just seems, I hate to say too easy, like buy it off that 50. I mean, you can manage your risk. If it comes down right here, your risk is only 3.5%. Man, your reward is up there, right? So anywhere down in this area, kind of reminds me of an Urkel type thing. Look, right there is your demand zone down in this area. I mean, that thing right there, SKBL. Matter of fact, yeah. Let me go down into the right here, set my alert so I don't forget. There. All right, FBL. So this is meta, and I love it. And so you can play FBL. You can get a 2 times bullish stock right here on the ETF. I mean, so if you want to be aggressive, you can play FBL instead of meta. PWP, nice consolidation right there. This is what I look for in my mini coils. Right there off that 1020. See that 1020 cloud? That's perfect. Right there. I want to see it right there tight. So we got a nice earnings response. Now we're coiling off that 1020 cloud. And so we also have the advantage of this pin bar or hammer bar. So we could play it instead of waiting for 1980, we could play it through the high of the day on Friday on intraday volume. Now, again, remember, these things can be volatile. So $20 level right there, 3.5% move, then up and above through it. Look at the institutional accumulation showing those ants, David Ryan ants showing. Strong volume accumulation looks good. So PWP. Just classic upside reversal right there. Buy it through the high of the day, set your low beneath the low of the day from Friday. So here's DPST again, like Cree. Man, that looks good, right? Everything about that looks like through that high of the day on intraday volume. Or you can short it underneath it. CLBR, we already talked about. All right, so that was Ted Zhang. So next up, let's see, Connor Bates. Go. Connor Bates and XPEV again. So that's a recurring theme, right? And I think there's going to be a lot of people thinking the same way I am. Now, if we have market pullback, we can play it down here off the higher low VWAP. You can set your stop loss just underneath it. SOUN again through the high of the day. But if we see market pullback, see if it holds that earnings VWAP. That might be a spot to pick it up. MSTR, we already talked about it. Bitcoin seemed to be pulling back a little bit tonight, so we may have an opportunity through the high of the day on intraday volume. Affirm, I don't see that one on other scans. That one's interesting. Maybe it did show on, maybe Jeff Soon also has it on his. So Affirm through the high of the day, right? Well, look how it came back down all into my old lines. That's ugly looking, like where I used to play. I zoomed that in a little bit, but we're right here off that 1020 cloud. Through that high of the day. It's a little herky-jerky. I don't generally like playing those kind, but seeing finance set up the way it is, this one is finance related, of course, so I think this could be a good one. Again, keep your eyes on XLF, see how they're doing, but the like PayC, those payment companies and all that stuff, digital stuff, that's all been kind of popping, so I like it. Titan, probably a little bit too far up right there off the again, just a little pullback. That's what we talked about earlier. Just a little pullback right here to 128.57. If it holds, let volume dry up. And then when price comes in and volume increases, buy it. If it fails right there, just let it go. Go on something else. CEG, utility play, nice coil. I like this one. It's only because it's off this key level. I would rather it off this 10, of course, but it's gapped up twice. So it had this, when you start seeing these bull flags or wedges off of gap ups, I mean, that's very aggressive. And so what you have now is a way to play through that high of the day and manage your risk tight off of this level right here, off that 288.30. So I really like that play. If it would pop or come up and come back and retest right there around that area, that would be very good. And then CEP, I think we deleted that one already. All right, and that was Connor Bates. So that was all and something interesting in terms of a pullback. So that was the only ones that were in setups off of that for me anyway. Next would be Shay. Yep, Shay Balor. So we're adding him in tonight. He came out with a list of Shay Balor popular growth stocks. Why is there only two? Oh, because there's only two in the setups now. So there were like 40 as you saw. But when I run through the scans and when I look at setups, so we only have two that are in potential setups. DOCN is a very interesting one. It's got that flag back look to it right there. And or you might could draw it off of this one even right there. So it's got that little flag back look, symmetrical volume. There's some distribution volume in there, but not often as far as a longer term play right here. We could be building the right side. See the higher high, higher low, and a recent higher high off that 31.17. So this could now be wedging and pop out right there. So through that high of the day on intraday volume, take a play on that one. And then PA and W is a nice classic sort of clean and simple break right here. I mean, looks really good just to move higher right there. The Cybers, I should have been in them way back here and I wasn't. They're kind of obvious plays. I was listening to somebody on Spaces tonight with, I don't think it was the Wolf. I forget all those guys' names, but one of them mentioned that if companies are going to cut back, he doesn't anticipate that companies will be cutting back in the cyber security area. And that makes complete sense to me. So these guys could hold up. So through the high of the day on intraday volume, so it made it. And then we have IBD sector leaders. Not very many tonight. We're in setups. Futu. So we got Futu is in a setup. And so through the high, I like it through the high right there because again, you get those little gap areas that form and you kind of feel it. That's a 2% fill, and you just feel real good about moving your stop up at a minimum to even and letting it play out from there. We're seeing a little bit of a volume pattern change. So this one again, not really my style, not aggressively my style, but I like the fact that it's a sector leader is what has me interested in it when it's on an IBD list. So I could easily see it filling that gap right there. So again, through the high of the day on intraday volume. And then last one is the IBD IPO leaders. And we only have lower, which we've already looked at and explained my reasoning on that and through that high of the day. So that is all, guys. So it's working out really well. We're finishing up about 3 or 4 minutes ahead of time, actually. So that little change up there is helping out. A lot of good looking setups tonight. We'll just see how the market, like I said, a lot of time between now and tomorrow before the market opens. Good luck to all you guys. If I can help you, let me know. Thank you for coming out tonight.